Good evening, and thank you everyone for joining us for our graduate information session for the College of Engineering. My name is Matt Fox, and I'm the Executive Director of Graduate Admissions with Western New England University. So tonight we're going to cover quite a bit of information in a relatively short period of time. We're going to provide you with an overview of our graduate studies opportunities with the College of Engineering. We're also going to talk about a new offer that we're excited about here with the university for the offer of 2 free grad courses for the class of 2020 of Western New England University who may continue on for their master's degree. We're also going to talk a little bit about next steps in the graduate admissions process. And then also as a part of this session, we're going to have a panel discussion. And our panel is going to include a member of our faculty from the College of Engineering as well as a current grad student. What I'd like to do now is briefly introduce them, and then what we'll do is we'll come back to them a little bit later in the session and provide them with an opportunity to provide their perspective, share that with you so you can get a better feel for the academic side of the house and what it means to be a graduate student with Western New England. So first off, we have Dr. Christian Salmon. He's the Department Chair for Industrial Engineering and Engineering Management. And then we have David Greenslade, who is a current PhD candidate, but also David graduated with his bachelor's and his master's with Western New England. So he has quite a bit of experience and familiarity with us. So we'll definitely come back to our panel here momentarily. We do have a feature with our webinar here where you can pose questions via our chat. So we'll be sure to address those at the conclusion of the panel. Now, why grad school with Western New England? I think we can all agree that the world is going through a challenging time right now, and this is clearly having an impact on the job market. One thing we feel would be a great investment for Western New England graduates is to pursue a graduate degree or pursue your master's. We think this will really set the stage for you to improve your employment prospects as well as future advancement opportunities. And we hope that you've had a great experience with your bachelor's degree and that you're going to want to stay with us to earn your master's. And we're confident that you're going to have a great experience with your master's as well. Now, whether you do this while you're working full-time or you decide that you want to focus solely on pursuing your graduate studies, we have some really great options to present to you through the College of Engineering that are going to really help you take the next step beyond your bachelor's degree. To help set the stage for that, we've streamlined the admissions process. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in terms of next steps especially for Western New England graduates. Also, as I mentioned earlier, we have a new opportunity for 2020 graduates of their bachelor's degree to receive 2 free graduate courses if they continue on with their master's. And what this is going to essentially equate to is about a savings of $7,000. So again, we're really excited about that. And I'm going to provide you with an overview of what that means. So in terms of the programs that are going to be eligible for this offer, we have a number of opportunities for you here for a master's program offered through the College of Engineering. We have our MS in Civil Engineering, a brand new program, which is the MS in Construction Management. We have the MS in Electrical Engineering, the MS in Engineering Management, the MS in Mechanical Engineering. We also have the MS in Industrial Engineering. So we have a great list for you to choose from. We're not going to take a deep dive with any particular program tonight. As you can see here, these programs are all 30 credit hours. So what that equates to is basically 10 grad courses. So that's going to be very different probably than what you experienced with your undergrad degree. It's a much shorter list of requirements. You couple that with our graduate term calendar, which is essentially a quarter system. We have 4 11-week terms that we offer with the university. So we have a summer term, a fall term, a winter term, and a spring term. So you have 4 entry points, and this really provides you with a great deal of flexibility to start at any time throughout the course of the academic year, but also allows you to accelerate your studies. But as I mentioned, we're not going to get into the specifics of all the degree requirements. I do want to encourage you to check out our website. We have a lot of wonderful information there for you to read. research, and you'll be able to take a closer look at degree requirements, admissions requirements, get a better feel for the faculty that are teaching in the program. So this should prove to be a great resource. Also, I want to encourage you to contact Grad Admissions. We're going to be here to help you navigate the admissions process, be that resource for you as you're weighing your options as to what to consider here for a master's degree, but also don't hesitate to talk to your faculty, especially if you happen to be a current student with the College of Engineering. You have a great group of professors to utilize as a resource there as well, and give you a better sense of what the master's programs can do for you as you plan your next steps. Now, as far as this new offering is concerned, again, you have the opportunity to receive 2 free grad courses. This is available to our class of 2020. Now, we indicate here this is available to May 2020 bachelor's degree graduates. I understand that some students may be finishing courses during the summer or perhaps as late as the fall. That's okay. We're going to extend this offer beyond May, but it is geared toward current seniors who are going to graduate in 2020. If you do want to start a little bit later, that's fine. You'll have until the end of the academic year for 2021, and that's going to be based on the graduate term calendar. So what's going to happen is the earliest you can begin is the summer, but minimally you have to have your bachelor's degree requirements finished. And then once you get ready to start your grad degree, you have to be enrolled in at least 6 graduate credits per term, so basically 2 graduate courses. Some students may decide to start with 1 class. That's okay. You just won't receive the benefit on the front end. But if you transition to being enrolled into 2 courses simultaneously at a later term, as long as it's within the 2021 academic year, you can still cash in on this opportunity. Now, the waiver applies to tuition. And that's pretty much the way the program is set up at the graduate level. You don't have a bunch of other fees that are rolled into the program. You're looking at pure tuition. You pay for your program as you progress with your studies. The only other cost you're going to really have associated with your graduate program here will be your books. So I do want to mention very briefly that we did add to our graduate admissions pages a new link, and it's titled WNE May 2020 Graduates. So this page is going to be a repository of information about this new opportunity for grad students. So it's going to have all the terms and eligibility spelled out for you there, and also additional links about grad admissions and our graduate offering. So again, that's another resource that'll be available for Western New England graduates. Now, as far as the graduate admissions process is concerned, I mentioned earlier that we're streamlining this for Western New England students. And right now, just to make sure everyone's clear, we're still accepting applications for the summer and the fall graduate terms. The summer term starts July 6th, and then our fall graduate term is going to start later in September. So you have definitely time to take next steps with us and take advantage of this opportunity. As far as rolling admissions is concerned, what that means is we do not have a deadline for you to apply, and we process applications on a rolling basis. So once your application is received and it becomes complete, we're going to get a decision out to you typically within about 1 week. As a Western New England student, soon to be alum, you will not have to pay the application fee, so that will be waived, so that'll save you $50. I'll be able to access your Western New England transcript and any other transcripts. If you transferred in, I'll be able to get all that information via self-service once you apply. We do provide the opportunity to get recommendations waived, so we're very flexible with that, especially if you're coming out of the College of Engineering and looking to continue on with a master's within the College of Engineering. Last but not least, and for some this will be a relief, we do not require the GRE for our master's programs, so you don't have to worry about any type of standardized testing for the program. Now, as far as the application is concerned, you can access that online. It'll take you 5-10 minutes to fill out the form. It's quite simple. There'll be prompts on there for you to upload any of your supporting documentation for your application, and this is where we'll notify you of your admission decision. So it's pretty straightforward, and we'll have links throughout our graduate sites, or I should say web pages, but feel free to contact Grad Admissions anytime you have questions about that. So now what I'd like to do is turn it over to the panel. And I have some basic questions I'm going to pose to Christian and David. And then again, after we conclude with the questions I'm going to pose here, we're going to open it up to the audience. So Christian, we're going to start with you. The first question, I guess it's a two-parter. We want to know why grad school at Western New England and what sets us apart from other schools?
Well, to start with why grad school at Western New England, well, you're here, so it's a convenient place to continue on with your studies. And secondly, I would say size. We are a small program, and as you already know from your undergrad, you have pretty easy access to all the faculty. And being small also makes us flexible. Flexible in that, all the degree programs have their basic requirements, but they're flexible in that if you can make a compelling argument why you should deviate from the standard, we'll accept it. It's very easy to do. And if you look at the engineering management degree, you have the ability to take 3 classes in the business school. And so we look at the business school as a partner. And if you can make a compelling argument why it should be 4, we can work on that. So by size alone, we are flexible, we're easily approachable, and so it makes a more customizable degree for you. And then when it comes to some of our programs, we have a lot of concentrations within the master's program. So a master's in engineering management, that's kind of a big, high idea. But if you look at the website, we also have 8 graduate certificates, which are kind of a half of a master's degree, but you can also look at them as an area of concentration. So if you are interested in project management, you can earn a graduate certificate in project management while you earn your master's degree in engineering management. So it's a signal of an area of expertise within a larger master's degree. And there's 8 things to choose from, everywhere from risk management to supply chain management. And then another idea that often, what sets us apart from other schools, it's something that often gets missed. As a small school that's predominantly undergraduate education, our faculty are really incentivized to maximize the experience of our students. If you go to a bigger university, say the one up the street, they are incentivized by research. They are judged, and when I say incentivized, I mean they are assessed on an annual basis and then over a period of years for promotion from assistant to associate to full professor, mostly on their research and the money that they bring in for their research. As faculty at Western New England University, we all have research. We have a research requirement. We have research interests. We like to do research. We'd like to expand our knowledge. We like to interact with industry partners. We like to improve our craft. However, since we are incentivized primarily along the lines of teaching, you as a student will get a better experience in the classroom because that is how we are incentivized to perform. Other schools, larger schools, it's the other way around. They're incentivized by research and towards research, and the teaching becomes a secondary part of their job, and therefore becomes a secondary experience to the students. So a small school like Western New England University answers both those questions. Why school at Western New England? We're flexible and we're easy to work with. And what sets us apart? In that we are incentivized to maximize the student's experience in the classroom.
Great, thank you, Christian. Just a quick question, a follow-up to that. I get questions from time to time from students inquiring about a thesis or research opportunities or a project option with the grad programs here. How often do you encounter that with the master's candidates?
It depends. So the traditional master's degree of 20 years ago to 100 years ago has changed pretty much because of the online environment that started somewhere in the 1990s. where the idea of the thesis, which was the default process, so a thesis, a master's degree 20 years ago, 25 years ago, was 12 courses or 36 credits, of which 9 would be a thesis. And a thesis was like a mini doctoral dissertation. It's about a third of a doctoral dissertation. And it was a substantive project, and the master's degree took 2 years. And now in the more current era, in the last 20 years or so, they've not just we university, but all universities, they've created the what was originally called the 12 course option, and now because of competitive pressures is now the 10 course option, where you can simply just take 10 classes, get the master's degree, but you can still choose to do a thesis option, which is 2 classes. It's 6 credits instead of 3 or 9 credits these days, and that is because you went from 9 credits down to 6 credits. It has to be a smaller thing, simply because you just don't have as much time. So we do get some students who want to pursue a thesis. It's for 2 reasons. One, they are working for an organization that would like to support research on a specific topic, or 2, they have higher ambitions for continuing on maybe into a PhD. So the thesis option is something that should be considered if you have a very specific topic with a body of knowledge in that area, and you already have a working relationship with or a particular faculty member you want to work in or work with. A thesis option can be a very powerful tool to advance your knowledge because you dive deeply into a specific topic, but the 10 course option is also very attractive because it exposes you to more areas of interest and more areas of study as well. So it kind of goes back and forth. And at one point, somebody had suggested that perhaps we should require a thesis option because they had, or incentivize a thesis option because they had believed it was the way to go. And one of the comments is that if a company is paying for an employee's graduate coursework, the company might not want them to do a thesis option. They may want them to be exposed to all those, as many areas of understanding as possible. So it's up to the student. Most students do the 10 course option simply because they're working professionals, and working on a thesis can be disruptive because it's not as much of a schedule as a class is. But there are some students that do choose to do a thesis, and we pair them with a faculty member, and it's quite a bit of work for both the student and the faculty member. But we believe that our theses are right up there with the quality that we see at other larger universities that are more research oriented. And then when you also mentioned the project, and so the project is an interesting area. A project is a 1 course project, a class, where the student is not coming to class. The student is working with a faculty member to explore over a 1 class a particular topic area of interest. And so the output of that is a project paper. So it's like a third of a thesis. So if a thesis is a third of a PhD, then the project is a third of a thesis. And we actually, those are a good idea if again, if a student is working for a company and the company wants some particular area of explored, there's a problem they have, we can use this as an opportunity to explore that area and work with the student to understand the problems and the solutions to that problem. We also suggest project courses for students who are thinking about a thesis. And so what it does is it gives you an extra 3 credits to kind of preliminary exploration of the idea. And then you can decide, do you want to continue on and get the thesis, take the thesis option? If you do, then you flip into the thesis option. So it's kind of a backdoor way to get that 9 credit thesis option back in there, because we feel that the 6 credit isn't enough time. It becomes a very, very tight squeeze. So for us, the project class is a great idea. If you are interested in the thesis option, explore the idea first in a project, and then we can roll that over into the thesis.
Perfect. Thank you. And I think just to piggyback on that very briefly is the one thing I want to emphasize, and it ties into what you just shared, Christian, is I feel our master's programs are super customizable. Students have a lot of flexibility as to how they piece together their graduate study here. And again, as you check out our website and look at the degree requirements, I think that'll speak volumes to that flexibility and the options you have for your pathways to earn your degree. So, David, you are up, sir. So I have a few questions for you, so I'm going to let you take over here. But question number one, why did you decide to pursue your master's with Western New England?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate the time and the opportunity. This is obviously a good question, and Dr. Salmon alluded to many of the reasons why I stayed at Western New England to pursue my master's degree. As you said, I had already done a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. The biggest reason for me was the flexibility and the convenience. You have mentioned the opportunity for this year's seniors, upcoming graduating seniors, to have 2 additional free courses. I mean, what a good opportunity. I wish I could go backwards in time and pull that one as well. But when I was at Western New England in the engineering program, I was actually also able to roll over, I think it was 1 or 2 courses from my undergrad degree in my senior year into my master's degree, simply because I had already completed some courses sort of prior to coming to the university. And so I had a gap in my schedule that allowed me to do that and fill up my credits and take some grad courses during my master's. Now, I don't know if anyone has the opportunity to do that, but the overall flexibility was huge. Like Dr. Salmon also alluded to, you take the fundamental core courses for the program that you're going to be involved with. For me, it was mechanical engineering. But what interested me was the opportunity to also maybe take an industrial course or even a couple courses from the School of Business. I wanted to kind of have a practical experience and well-round myself where I could with courses outside of the core engineering courses. And that gave me the flexibility to do so.
Thank you, Dave. We're going to go on to the second question here. What was your experience with the workload for your master's compared to your experience with your bachelor's?
It's very different. I've actually had a lot of students ask me that question over the years. It's, in undergrad, it's all about theory. It's very rigorous, especially in engineering. You're constantly focused on the work. I would say the biggest difference for me going to a master's program was, while there's still a good amount of work, it's most certainly manageable, but you have to do the work to gain the knowledge and some of the experience. But it's a different sort of work, right? It's more practical in a lot of ways. A lot of the classes are focused more around discussion. And I thought that was a really positive thing from my experience, because not only do we have some students that are coming right out of grad school, we also have other students that are taking the master's program, but they're coming from industry, right? And so some of the best professors that I've had and the classes that I felt like I got the most out of, the professors made it very discussion based. And so you were having the theoretical conversation while also bringing in experience and problems from industry. And so for someone like myself that hadn't really gone to industry yet, it was very important to get that opposite end of the spectrum feeling and understand what I might be getting myself involved with. And oftentimes in class, we would take their problems that they were facing in in everyday life at work and bring them into the classroom. And it kind of made me feel like I was doing the work at the same time and having that practical experience as well.
Yep. No, that makes sense. Now, your dynamics changed a little bit since you've transitioned into the PhD program, correct? In terms of your professional background?
Certainly, yeah. Teaching courses as part of the PhD program. And I did do some different internship opportunities when I was in between my bachelor's and my master's. but my experience has definitely changed now, but still focused mostly on academics.
Okay. Yeah, because I knew that you were helping to, was it with the robotics fair?
Yeah, there was a few programs, and that was actually one of the things that actually got me to transition from the master's and stay for the PhD program. I just had so many different opportunities that I was already involved with. And, that's one of the things that I think is great about Western New England, right? Is even when you're coming in for a bachelor's, and if you transition it to a master's, the flexibility to take a path that is right for you is always there, right? It's a smaller school, like Dr. Salmon alluded to. Most people are aware of that, but there's the willingness for faculty to not only let you go in a direction that you want to go in, but support you in those different directions. Not everyone is tied to a specific curriculum or a specific area of research. So you really have a huge degree of flexibility to almost do what you want. In fact, in one of Dr. Salmon's courses, he had assigned a project, and I don't recall exactly what it was, but I came to him and said, hey, I'm kind of working on this side project to do, something else with one of the clubs I was working on. The purpose of what I'm trying to do is the same as what the purpose of the project that you've assigned to the class is. Could I pivot this project and sort of, do a different topic? And he was very willing to let me do that, right? Realizing that it's going to add more value for something else that I'm doing, and really add value more to the College of Engineering and even the university, because it was related to a school program. But I was still going to learn the key concepts that I was, looking to learn, and he wanted us to learn as part of that class. So, and that flexibility it's not just his class. It wasn't just with him. It was really in all my classes throughout my bachelor's and my master's and my PhD topic. My PhD dissertation, was not focused on an area of research that any of the faculty were really experts in. Traditionally, at a bigger school, you don't have that opportunity. And I think, that applies. We're talking more about master's degrees here in the master's program, but it applies directly there too. You don't have to necessarily follow in the footsteps of the professors and do their line of work always. There's an opportunity to pivot off of that.
Awesome. Thank you. I feel like you pretty much covered this. I was going to ask you, what do you feel were some of the differences with grad school versus your undergraduate experience? And I feel like, you truly have had that collaborative experience with the faculty. They've really worked with you to, based on your interest, and help you customize your studies. Is there anything else that jumps out at you from, coming from your bachelor's degree into that world of graduate study that you'd want to highlight or showcase for prospective students?
Yeah, to shed a little bit of light on a different realm for this question. I had an experience, when I started my master's program right out of my bachelor's, I didn't really know what to experience, right? I had some friends that were doing master's programs a year or two before me and at other schools. And I heard all these different stories, and I really didn't know what to expect. And the first course that I had was with Professor Waltine. It was fracture mechanics. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I getting myself involved with? I have no idea. And the first class we sat down, it was a packed class. It was full, right? It wasn't, extremely large, but it was full. And we were going over theory. And I'm sitting here like, oh man, I'm in trouble. I'm not, this isn't what I expected. And it turned out actually by the end of the class that it was probably one of the more practical classes that I had ever, really been a part of. What I'm trying to get at is there's still the theory, right? You've still got to, that's what engineering is. You've got to understand that theory, but it's how you apply that theory. And that's what I think all the professors are just really good at, are taking the theory and making it practical and giving you the opportunity to, learn from it, but then expand upon it, whether it be in your job, a project you're working on, or even something, further down the line. But I think the biggest thing to take away is if you can make this investment, and it's not just a financial investment, right? If you can afford, to take another year and a half, whatever it might be, to do a master's program, or maybe even eventually it's a PhD, it'll pay dividends for a long time. I was actually on a call with a grad student a couple of weeks ago, who reached out to me and said, "Hey, you actually were my professor a few years back," and he was interested in doing the PhD program. And I told him the same thing. It's an investment, but it'll always pay itself back. If you really take the time and you apply yourself and you make the most of it, it'll always pay dividends, and it's extremely worth it.
Excellent. Thank you. And I think you really addressed this question with what you just shared there, and I think that's great. And I didn't know if either of you, before we transition into opening up questions to the audience, do either of you have anything else that you'd want to add regarding our grad programs? Any other words of wisdom for Western New England soon-to-be alums of our bachelor's programs? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
you didn't put that on the list of questions.
I know.
I just echo on David's last comment there. When I did my undergrad in civil engineering, and I thought I was going to get a job after that, and then while I was doing that, I found I was actually pretty good at the academic thing, and I happened to have some chance meetings, and they offered me a chance to go down to George Washington University for a master's degree in a quirky, weird little program, risk and emergency management. And so I went paying my own way. I didn't have funding. A very expensive thing to do, but I was curious, and I had an opportunity to do that. And within months of being there was, once you get in, you start to meet people, you start to find other opportunities, and then that ended up leading to a fully funded PhD program. And it is, so you make that investment, and it will always pay itself off. You can reboot yourself with a degree or a certificate. You can, even mid-career, 20 years from now, if you feel you need to shift directions, the best and easiest way to do that is get a master's degree in that field. And it reboots you professionally, and you become a new person. It's strange. It seems strange, but I see it all the time. If you have a new degree from a reputable university, you are a new person from the industry perspective. It will always pay for itself. It will pay for itself today. It will pay for itself 20 years from now.
Excellent.
Yeah, and if I could just make one more kind of closing statement to that point, right? I think if you were to ask any current student what they enjoyed about Western New England and the education aspect of it, they'll always say smaller class sizes, great professors, they were always there, right? And that's the experience I think that is really important, and it carried over exactly the same as you would have for the graduate programs. And I think, even if there's people that aren't, doing a bachelor's at Western New England, that's what's really important to know, right? Is you're never alone through that process. You've always got the professors there for you, but they want to see you succeed, but they want to see you do something that, you're enjoying, right? And that goes back to the flexibility portion.
Awesome, guys. That's great information, great advice. So thank you so much. So what I want to do now is I'm going to check our chat, see if we have any questions that have come in. And it looks like right now we don't have any additional questions for you guys from the audience. So I think we're going to be in good shape there.
That just means we already answered everything perfectly.
Exactly. You guys are very thorough. So what I'm just going to put on the screen now is our contact information for grad admissions. We also have our contact information on the website, also goes for the faculty, but feel free to call us, email us. We can set up a time to do a phone call, a video chat, whatever you prefer. Again, we're going to be here to help you. We're going to be a resource. We want to thank you for your time tonight. I want to thank Christian and David for their time. I truly appreciate that. But we look forward to hearing from you soon.